of Focus Report 2024, PR in Central Europe. Before we start the technical announcement, this meeting is being recorded. For those who couldn't make it this time, for the opportunity to actually watch back the recording later on. So I presume that is all right with everyone. So warm welcome. And my name is Gabor Szarlos, or Sarlos Gábor, whichever way it goes. I'm an associate professor at the University of Roehampton, and in the current role, I'm editor-in-chief of the publication that we are going to introduce very soon. Now, what will happen this afternoon? First of all, let me welcome some people who are very important for this afternoon session. A warm welcome to András Stanislav, who is the founder of the report and president of the Hungarian PR Association. He will have his introductory remarks at the start. Then I will welcome the distinguished panel that we have this time around the table. And which comprises of Juraj Caranek, the Vice President of the Association of Public Relations of the Slovak Republic, Radek Marsik, Chairman of the Czech Association of Public Relations, Iga Wilczynska-Zygadlewicz, Vice President of the Polish Public Relations Consultancy Association, and last but not least, Balázs Szántó, Board Member of the Hungarian PR Association. Before the panel discussion, I will share a few thoughts about the report itself, highlight some important points about it, as well as guide you where you can actually download the report. So let's get started. We are planning to have this panel discussion to run about a good 45 minutes, and then we will have the opportunity, we'll open the floor and everyone will have the opportunity to ask questions, join the discussion by either using the chat box or by unmuting themselves and contributing to the discourse. So let's start by welcoming once again András, and I'm asking you to share your thoughts about the report. András, it is over to you.
Thanks very much, and thanks for all of you who have are attending this meeting, because to me it's a really proud moment, and I'm very grateful that over 30 people are attending, but a lot of people have contributed to this report, because this is, for all who are just watching it for the first time, this is a work, this is 6-7 months of work, hard work of pulling this report together. But I think that finally it will give some spotlight to our region, even on the global stage. And with my opening remarks, I wanted to just look into the past and the history of how this report have been put together and what were the inspirations. And the first memory I have about such report was about 10 years ago, when I've learned that Steve Waddington's in the UK have crowdsourced a book called Future PR. And crowdsourcing was a word for me, which I've just learned at that time, that he put together a couple of professionals to talk about trends, to write up about trends and thoughts about the industry. And he put together a report which lived for a series of 6 or 7 editions. And that was the first time when I understood that, okay, this is possible, a collaboration not only at an academic level, but also a professional level. The second inspiration was from Nigeria, the BHM's World Africa PR report, about 5-6 years ago. The second edition is already out now for 1 or 2 years. And that was interesting because that was covering multiple countries in the African continent. With CIPR International, for a couple of years, we have done the Doing PR in series. You can find them on YouTube. And we were traveling across countries all across the globe to understand how PR is done in different countries. That was also an inspiration for me to come up with this report. About 3 years ago, the Hungarian PR Association has published, so it was called the Trend Report, led by the vice chair of the association, Zsófia Banhegyi, who was the National Lottery Company's head of comms. But that was targeting the domestic market, the Hungarian market only. And some ICCO National Association leaders know me for the last 4 or 5 years that I've trying to push them into, into pulling this report together and try to encourage them to do something together, and not only at the national, but also at the regional level. So that was the history. And a couple of observations about the report and this project altogether. Because I think it's important to acknowledge that this book, at least in my understanding, is not about setting new trends, because all of our countries are small at the global scale, and very rarely come any new trends in PR from this region. However, the more we are embedded into the global community, the implementation of these global trends needs less and less time. So this book is focusing, as the title refers to, on how we see these trends, how we implement them, how we can benefit out of these trends, and what are the challenges, obviously. The second remark on that is that as I'm having two positions, managing a global PR body, ICCO, and also leading a local one, I've been asked many times over the years to explain how I see the difference between big markets and small markets, the local versus the global markets. And my observation, though obviously being very general, is that small markets have much less resources, mainly budget, but also human resources, compared to US, UK, even sometimes some African countries. But that factor has pushed us into being more creative. Our agency people are skilled in multiple disciplines, or being familiar with multiple tools, because that's the only way how we can serve the brands and the clients. And the result, as professionals coming out of this region can find a way in working in international roles, because we are used to work for the same level of impact, both social and business impact, but in more challenging environment. And also, I think it's an interesting trend to see how multinational companies, which are based or HQ'd in this region in one of the countries, expand as they become the strategic hubs from a client perspective. The comms approach, the directions, the budget is controlled from one of the countries, and their position is different as they make the decisions, they make the strategies, and not only and just implement the global requirements. For example, MOL, which is the headline sponsor for this publication, is although based in Hungary, but operates in 30 plus countries from Middle East, Africa, Pakistan, even to Norway, and employing 25,000 people, and it's based in Hungary. So working with them is also an inspiration to local agencies, as they can help clients formulating strategies and not only campaign plans. And a couple of important keywords for me about this book and publication. The first one and the keyword for me is collaboration, because overall we put together 70 professionals from all 4 countries, both from agency side as well as client side, which was a huge effort so that they could contribute to this report. And it's a multi-country report at the end of the day. Also, I think it's interesting that though we are speaking about 4 countries, then the market size, the population of these countries exceed over 60 million people, 65 million people, which is a scale which is visible from a global perspective as well. So I expect some global coverage about this report and being it useful for professionals from outside this region as well. And also an interesting trend which I see is the formulation of regional hubs in the agency business, because both clients expect agencies, especially in this region, but in other regions as well, to cover multiple countries from one country or from one region. But also the agencies are building or concentrating their knowledge hubs, even at the global, sometimes a global stage, knowledge hubs into one of these regions. So look at Publicis in Hungary or Bersen in Poland. So I think those trends are also very important to acknowledge and understand from this region. And last but definitely not least, couple of thanks from my perspective, from my side, to some of the contributors. Obviously, Dora and Ronnie, who put together the whole admin of this project, which was, I can say, a huge work and a huge effort. Gabor, to you as well, that being an editor-in-chief and taking the responsibility of the content of this report. And also a kudo goes to all National Association leaders, because they were the ones who finally invited the contributors from all countries. Obviously, huge thanks go to all the contributors because they invested their free time into pulling this report together. And last but not least, thanks to sponsors. And I'm very proud that not only we have corporate sponsors, but some agencies have sponsored this report as well. And I would encourage everyone who's listening to this webinar, even on demand at a future stage, that look at those agencies very carefully, because they are the ones who you can confidently turn to if you need to make any PR in this region or any of the 4 countries. So thanks very much from your side. And Gabor, back to you.
Thank you so much, András. And I think you summed it up very much and very neatly in terms of what the origins of this report are and what the main highlights or some of the main highlights are. So let me follow up on what you said by sharing one more thing with everyone, and that is the following. Hope it goes to the next slide. It's just a minute of technical time. So basically what I see is that in a way this is a snapshot on the state of the industry that we're presenting right now. This is what we are. This is what we do. These are the challenges that we face, and these are the fantastic solutions that we offer. So that means that this report can be read in a variety of ways. It is first, as you, András, mentioned, it's a great promotion tool to actually put our industry even more in the forefront of corporate thinking and share and highlight all the solutions that we offer. It is also an excellent tool for discussion and discourse within the industry, and the fact that so many contributors from these 4 countries invested their significant amount of energy, thought, and time just indicates this very well. The structure of the report follows a very clear setup. It is the chapters are grouped around 4 main areas: principles, practice areas, success factors, and vision for the future. And this is roughly the structure that we will follow in the discussion in a moment. András, you spoke about all the contributors and all those people who deserve thank you, and I can just join you by echoing what you said. Without this collaboration across countries, cultures, players, business, and not-for-profit organizations, this would not have been possible. And in terms of the content of the actual report, I would highlight 4 main areas. One, it underlines very much the diversity of the PR landscape that we currently have. Some of the countries, well, they might look rather small. However, the PR landscape, the variety of PR programs which the countries offer is really outstanding. The second one, some of the corner stores seems to be echoed across all these articles. The importance of having theoretical frameworks and concepts to rely on the origins of our profession. A regular fact or a regular pattern coming back in articles around the importance of stakeholder engagement. And ethics is also something which is very dominantly highlighted in these contributions. Equally, there are some challenges that seem to appear regularly, regardless of what topic the piece is actually covering. So issues like how to embed and how to make the best use of AI, how to manage some of the challenges related to the exponential growth of artificial intelligence is one of these. How to manage the generational divide, the transformation of the media landscape, both in terms of ownership, structure, owned and earned media, paid for media, and so on. That is definitely on the palette for challenges. How to fight fake information. And finally, the ongoing discussion and some fantastic solutions around measurement. And finally, we have success factors or success stories we should all be proud of. And some of the articles highlight these very clearly. ESG has become an excellent prime example of an area which is very important for business, and PR professionals have been able to play a leading role in exploring and leading the pack here. Crisis communication is another such area where we have become a player that you cannot do without. Employer branding is a similar one. And in all, I would say that we have consolidated our place in the boardroom, and that's fantastic to see. So there are several factors we should be proud of. And when we speak about the report, I think it's very important that we highlight these factors. I have put up here the link where you can download the report. And like I do with my students, yes, download now if you want, but focus on the discussion instead. So maybe do a more detailed reading after the discussion. But nevertheless, the QR code and the link is up here. So I think this gives a little framework to what you will be holding in your hands or seeing on your screens. And to have a better understanding of what we all cover, I would like now to turn to our panel, Juraj, Radek, Iga, and Balázs. And I prepared a couple of questions to all of you, and I would think that it would be best if we somewhat discussed the four main areas that I highlighted by following some of the questions that I thought about. So if I may start, the first one that I have in mind is, I'm challenging all of you a little bit. To what extent do you think the principles of public relations are still valid in the rapidly changing world that we have today? When we are facing issues like disinformation, manipulation, AI-generated content, and so on, can we still build on those principles our ancestors once built upon? So this is the first question I would like to put to you all, and there is no specific order of answers that I have in mind, but maybe Juraj, if I can ask you first, what are your thoughts on this one, the importance and relevance of principles today?
Gabor, thank you very much, and rest of the wonderful panel. Good afternoon to everyone. First of all, congratulations, because I mean it's tremendous work, and András, Gabor, Dora, and the rest of the team. I mean, brilliant work. I'm represent the Slovak PR Association, and I'm here together with Katarina Remias, and I'm talking this because I mean we are both part of the ethical committee within the association. And coming back to your question, this is absolutely valid, and we have several cases in last years when having discussion about consultant integrity, about ethic parameters, about concerns from client perspective and media perspective and consumers perspective, etc. And I mean, coming back from these ethical cases that we solved together with Katarina, I'm 100% sure that everything which is written in Stockholm Declaration, Helsinki Declaration, which is, I mean, the documents which are very well rooted within the industry, I mean, everything is valid. And the current situation with flow of information, with the flow of content and content creators and pressure from economic and political side, etc. I mean, nothing has changed on these points, which were somewhat discussed within these two declarations. So from our perspective, the principles which were valid a couple of years ago, decades ago, I mean, they are still here, they are still valid. So that's very short from my side.
Thank you, Juraj. Radek, what are your thoughts on this question and topic?
Hello, everyone. I fully agree with you, right, that the principles of public relations are still valid. They are still the same as it used to be, but they must be adapted to address the current challenges like disinformation or AI-generated content or dominance of social media. So we need to work on. We need to start with our current principles, but we have to adapt them, and we need to focus on things like authenticity and trustworthiness, because I believe that trust is we would call it currency of our of the communication. The other thing where I see we need to focus on is adaptation to real-time communication, because we have been traditionally as an industry focused on more, I would say, slower but deliberate messaging. But in today's world of social media, everything is happening in seconds or minutes. So we have to act quickly. We also need to build what I would call resilience against disinformation. That means that when we create PR strategies, we have to include techniques which help us to fight disinformation, like consistent messaging, correcting false narratives, and so on. Social media crisis management is very important in the current age or current era, because, as I said, the crises are happening in minutes, so we don't have time to prepare the best messaging. We have to act quickly. And the last thing that I would mention is the public education on media literacy. I think we as an industry have a role in helping educating public in media literacy and disinformation and fighting the disinformation.
Thanks a lot for your thoughts, Radek. Iga, over to you. What are your thoughts on this?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, let me also thank you for having me, and another big thanks to our Hungarian colleagues for coordinating our first regional initiative. So also huge thanks to the Hungarian team for this one. And coming back to the questions, I would say that the public relations sector is indeed rapidly evolving in today's world with a lot of challenges like disinformation, AI-generated content, etc. And because of these challenges, the core principles such as trust, transparency, and ethics are now more important than ever. And I'm happy to say that the Polish PR companies associations, which I proudly represent, is at the forefront of maintaining these challenges, combating these challenges, and maintaining these ethical standards and professionalism in a modern PR. And so let's take a couple of examples. Firstly, since 2020, we have the Code of Good Practices in place, which guides ethical PR. And this year, we also introduced Public Affairs Code of Good Practices. This year, we also adopted as our probably all of yours as associations as well, the ICCO Warsaw principles that provides a framework for using AI responsibly. And we, of course, encourage the market participants to follow these rules. We have been also involved in the campaign Together Against Disinformation, which was initiated by the MAGOC Association, which we cooperate with. Its aim is to combat disinformation in partnership with media and public institutions. So to wrap up, I would say that staying committed to the values is our responsibility as the sector's associations and market leaders.
Thank you, Iga. These were some excellent examples on how to actually put principles into everyday practice. Thank you for sharing these. Last but not least, Balázs, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for having me. I was hoping that no one would go the philosophical way that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I believe that at this time of really unprecedented turmoil and changes surrounding us every day, obviously the principles all stand, and now more than ever, I believe that we as communicators have a fundamental mission of supporting people in exercising their very basic rights to learn the facts. And I'm intentionally not using the word truth, and to share their facts with their stakeholders. And this this is a sacred mission that we need to keep above all else, and just be sort of a light of ethics and basic decency, so to speak, in supporting communicators.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Balázs. And I don't mind at all that you brought in this philosophical perspective on things, because it complements pretty much to what Juraj, Radek, and Iga has been sharing. Thank you. And let me move on. Sorry. Let me move on to my next question. And that is, if you want, let's look a little bit at our profession from our client's perspective or an outsider's perspective. If you were to convince a prospective client or an outsider about what the added values are which actually PR delivers, how would you formulate this? Let's face it, we're living in a period of very fierce competition with management consultants, marketing firms, content creators, and so on. So what is actually our added value in this competition? I'm open. Who would like to start with giving some response to this question?
If you don't mind, I like this question a lot, so I let my first start. So first of all, I would not say that we, the PR industry, compete with the marketing, but that we are complementary industries. While marketing focuses on driving sales and promoting products, PR is about building long-term relationships and managing reputation. PR also keeps broadening its scope, expanding it into ESG communication, data analytics, public affairs, strategic consulting, etc. So I would say to the client that PR, it's not just a tool for visibility, but it's a powerful business driver. We, the PR professionals, are very often the closest to companies' leaderships, advising them based on our understanding of market trends, local economies, and political contexts. And all this makes PR essential in guiding businesses through such complex environments, while marketing works to create immediate impacts rather than building credibility and trust over time like we do. At least this is my understanding and my vision, and I'm happy to hear whether my colleagues agree or not.
Okay, thank you, Iga. Let's hear if there are differences in opinions here, or we all share the same perspective.
Well, I mean, this is very proper question, and I'm not so optimistic here, because I mean we see many fields from communication domains, from media buying, from advertisements, from research agencies. I don't know, whoever. That I mean they're bringing together. So they are trying to inspire each other and doing very similar project, and it's very hard to distinguish what is the added value of advertisement agency or media buyers or research agency or PR. It's very hard to differentiate. So I mean my understanding, what is the biggest value of our domain within the marketing mix is I would say is a consistency, that we look after the brands, we look after the health and context where the brands appear within the communication campaigns. And they can be either very short performance-driven campaigns or long-term, doesn't matter. We can operate in both. But I mean, what is the biggest value of our input inside is that, I mean, we put together, I mean, what are the reputation factors? And these reputation factors might work also in a short and long term. So it's not something against IGA, but I mean it's very hard and to differentiate and I really, I mean, we feel, I mean, discuss this topic very intensively here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Juraj. Radek, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with Juraj that it's not easy. That's true, but I'm very optimistic about the future of our industry because we have in past few years, maybe 5-10 years, we have learned so many things. We now do the videos, we do paid campaigns, we even shot the TV commercials. Some of us. So today we do a lot of things which other disciplines and other agencies normally didn't past. So we overlap in many areas with the creative agencies, with the digital agencies, but there are still few areas which none of those disciplines can do and are even trying to do, which is our media relations, which nobody else is able to do. Media relations and working with the earned media. Reputation management and crisis communications, again, is something which is very unique for us, and no other disciplines is focusing on this. Public affairs and government relations. This is very often it's part of what we do as well. Iga already mentioned ESG or CSR communications. Again, this is something that we need to focus on. Also, internal and employment communications, and lastly, thought leadership and executive positioning. Again, something which no other disciplines is focusing on. So we need to build on this. It's not easy, as Juraj said, but if we will be working with those unique areas and adding all the others, we have a very good space and very good future as an industry.
Thank you, Radek. Balázs, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with all of the above. What I would say is really strongly differentiates us from other disciplines is a long-term strategic focus on reputation and risk management. Every single meeting we have with other agencies, it's very clear that they are not seeing the whole field. They are focusing on the goalpost and ignoring all the risks surrounding the road there. And that is part of our job to notice potential pitfalls and call attention to them. Yeah, basically that's something that I believe only we can do. And the other point is we've been having a healthy discussion finally in Hungary about whether we should abandon PR as a moniker, because it has all of this baggage of the last 20 odd 30-ish years, especially with a focus on media relations, which I love, which obviously used to be our bread and butter, but we are much more generalists and open to employing all sorts of different tools and techniques than other agencies. And saying that we are PR people puts us in a box that we no longer fit into, I think.
Interesting. Absolutely what you're saying. I think this in itself could be a discussion for a full webinar or workshop or whatever. The baggage of the last 20 or 30 years and how we overcome that, or whether we overcome that, or in what shape and form we do that. Thank you. I have two more questions that I prepared, and in the meanwhile, while I'm posing the third and then the last question, I'm also encouraging everyone to think about joining the discussion once we're done with these introductory thoughts. So my third question is, well, actually, it is referring to some of the things that we mentioned, because we do hope that by PR we are offering something better, differently, in a more impactful way than other industries do. And my question to you is, what do you see as key success factors for PR programs? What works well globally and perhaps specifically in your country? What makes one campaign more impactful and more efficient than another one? So that's my next question. And maybe Balázs, if you want to start this time, so
Okay,
just to
sure.
bring some excitement.
You know my spiel about the balance between creativity and strategy.
I do,
But
absolutely.
but I mean, I have seen many of the sort of usual examples of highly creative PR campaigns, usually done by other disciplines, but they are still called and awarded as PR campaigns. And I have a couple of examples where people are. I ask people whether they remember the campaign. They all do, and I ask them whether they remember what or who the campaign was about, and very few do. So obviously, creativity is something that we all want to demonstrate, and everybody wants to have a fantastic idea that goes viral and everyone knows it and it wins all the awards everywhere. But if you don't have a clear objective that you know how you want to measure with what target audience, then no amount of creativity is going to result in a successful campaign in terms of actual impact and not just hits.
Okay, so if I understand well, Balázs, in your interpretation, the recipe is quite simple. It means that you need to have the clear target. You have to have a clear audience you are addressing, a strategy to this. And once you do that, then that in itself is already, half of the success.
Yeah, slightly more than half, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Radek, over to you. What are your thoughts on what makes one campaign better than the other?
Yeah, I must say I fully agree, because in my opinion, I just put as a preparation 4 points that are common for the most of successful PR campaigns. And it's communication strategy, which is based on data analysis and insights. That's something that we learned over years from creative and media industry, media buying industry. Then second is great creative idea and creative execution. Again, something that we have learned just in the past few years. And then multi-channel planning of PR campaigns, because we are now do more and more integrated communications campaigns on social media, traditional media, internal channels. So good planning is also necessary. And last but not least, the measurement, which starts with setting the goals for the campaign and measurement at the end. And if you have these 4 points included in the campaign, that's the chance that your campaign will be successful and visible is much better than if you don't work with them.
Sorry, thank you. Absolutely fantastic points, Radek. Juraj, what is your take on this topic?
Well, I would say you can look at PR trend book to see wonderful cases. But from our perspective, what we see like key elements, and I would just rephrase what Radek said. We need good insight from data, from real-time experience. And when we are talking about AI threats and how AI will change our work, that's a wonderful tool to get the insight, to use AI tools to understand the statistics, analyze, to understand the trends, etc. So first of all, to get the insight from data. We are in the creative industry, so creativity is really like a must for successful campaign. And of course, we look at the quality of execution, which is resulted in good results. So these are like pillars, how we perceive the quality of PR projects.
Thank you. Absolutely. Iga, over to you then.
Thank you. Of course, I fully agree with everything that was said. So I try to add a little bit, but I try to add a little bit different perspective, because I believe that every campaign, every PR campaign is different depending on the goal, target groups, and tools. So I'd prefer not to give any specific examples or specific recipes for success. But I would say, in addition to what was already said, that in order to be successful and effective, the market participants need to adapt to new challenges and to evolving market demand. As we have said, our market, our industry keeps changing. So I would say that being up to date with the trends, developing competencies and skills, developing new services, this is, in my opinion, a way for being successful on such a competitive market as the PR market.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Iga. I have prepared one more question in our introduction to not only the report, but actually to the industry in our region. And this one looks a little bit at the future. We all come across situations where someone a little bit younger than us asks us whether they should go into PR. What is it about the industry? Where do we see industry in 5 or 10 years? So if a young and interested person comes up to you, what would you tell them? Where will we be in 5 or 10 years, and how will we actually attract talent to this vision of ours? So who's ready to start answering this question?
I can start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe, first of all, it's not easy to find the new talent. My personal feeling in our market, it's better this year than it was last year, but not exactly sure why, but it is better. But it's hard job to find the people. It's probably the hardest thing we have to do today. But on the other hand, I think and I believe that our industry is now more important or will be more important in 5-10 years than it was so far, and it's because of all the things that we discussed just now. It is more complex, it is more interesting, and while about 10 years ago I would agree that probably creative industry was considered to be more strategic. Today, I don't think that's the same, because today, as I already mentioned, we work with data, we do create creative ideas, we executing communications, not only towards consumers but also governments and B2B groups, employees. So we do a lot of diverse communication, and also we use new technologies, including AI. So I truly believe that public relations is even more interesting, complex, and perspective industry than it was before. So yes, they should study public relations.
That sounds like a very good sales pitch to a young person. Absolutely, thank you. Who is ready to join and on
maybe I can, because I want to follow up a little bit on what Radek was saying. Radek said it's hard to find new talents, and I cannot agree more. I believe that it's our job. I mean, the association's job and the market participants' job to attract those new talents, and we sometimes do struggle with it. And as Polish PR associations, we constantly encourage young talents to join our industry. We emphasize this talent development through programs like our PR Crash campaign, or the Next Gen or PR Next Gen competition. So we try to do a lot to encourage them. And personally, if I was discussing it with the young person, I would say go for it. The PR industry offers a really dynamic, evolving landscape, a lot of fields of specializations, as you can see in our focus report, and there is a plenty of room for young professionals. I can't say. I'm afraid none of us can say where the PR industries will be in 10 or 5 years. But for sure, it will keep changing, keep evolving, and we need to be up to date with those changes. And I believe that it all can be quite exciting for the young talent. So I would definitely encourage them to try this professional adventure.
Thank you so much. Okay, Balázs, what do you think?
Another interesting perspective is the type of person who should be interested in PR. And I think that if a young person is intellectually curious, doesn't want to become a specialist in one thing that may or may not exist in 5 or 10 years, and they are interested in the long-term strategic perspective and thinking about reputation, then there's no other discipline that would fit them as well as PR would.
That's an interesting perspective. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. You're right.
Well, I mean, we have within the association, we are having several university cooperation, and even our member agencies are very active in university courses, etc. But I mean, this domain is changing so rapidly that it can be somehow written or fixed within the curriculum or syllabus at the university. So, I mean, what we are searching for is, as Balázs said, very active and open-minded person who will be both very strong in specific domain, in politics, in society, in environmental issues, in economics, etc., and understand the communication principles. So we need an open-minded person. And what will definitely change is technology adaptation. But what will possibly not change a lot is that we search for person who is eager in specific domain. And that's very unique. That, I mean, we should be very strong in our domains. Yep.
Thank you, Juraj. Actually, your thought reminded me of a discussion not too long ago we had at the university, and when we were talking about, future jobs for our graduates. And this was not only about PR, but in a wider context in a business school. And, as one of my colleagues voiced it, it easily happens that the jobs for which we want to prepare our students at this stage, they might not even exist because the changes happen so rapidly that it's very difficult to foretell or think about what are the things that will be selling well, if you like, in 5 years or especially 10 years time. So it's a constant ongoing development work that is needed to that end. And I couldn't agree more that that requires people and young people who are curious, who are ready to learn, who are adaptable, who are flexible, so who have some of these soft skills that are so essential for any employer, just because of the rapidity of changes that are happening. So thank you all. And what I thought I would be very interested in, actually asking members of the audience to join in by either asking questions or sharing their thoughts. I quickly ran through the list of participants, and I can happily say that at least half of the participants are authors within the publication, so with all full right to actually contribute, and others might be interested from other perspectives. So any questions, thoughts, comments, feel free to share these, as I said, either in the chat box or by simply unmuting yourself and contributing to the discussion. And while I give a little bit of thinking time, let me once again share with everyone that what the link is for downloading the report. Don't forget that this is actually what we're speaking about, Focus Report 2024, PR in Central Europe. And this is the link from which you can actually access it, either the QR code or the link up there. Okay. So any questions or any thoughts?
Gabor, before we get any question, I have one more idea to the attracting new talent to our industry, which is when I was listening to colleagues, I thought of, and that's our problem as an industry. It's not that our work, our job would not be interesting. It's very interesting. It's very complex. It's also very difficult. So it's not a problem of having interesting job. The problem is the perception and reputation of our industry. That's and also the choice that the young people now get on the market, so they can do so many other things than they could do 10 years ago. So we need to work on the perception and reputation of our industry, not just among the young talents.
Absolutely. Thank you for this comment. Absolutely. So, yeah. Any question or comment to what has been said or what has not been said?
Yeah, I have a question, if I may. I'm Bence Gaspar, Hungary, one of the authors. I'm a proud member of the presidency of the Hungarian PR Association. I'm in the board, right? And my question is, what do you think? Does it make sense to want to? Does it make sense from the college students' point of view who are thinking of becoming PR professionals to read this trend report? And does it say anything to them who are not practicing a profession yet? And if so, if your answer will be yes, what is the best way to get in touch with universities or colleges who are where they are studying from a practical point of view? How would you do that? Thank you.
Thank you, Bence. Actually, I think we can put together some collective wisdom here also, because I know that among the authors we have here are some who contributed to the chapter on education. And actually many of our colleagues are giving lectures, are regularly invited as guest lecturers to universities and so on. So let's try to all answer to Bence's question. What do we think?
Short answer is definitely interesting reading and a nice broad perspective on the industry and the profession for anyone who's starting out. And I can see among the participants here and also authors of the report several not just guest lecturers but educators from academia who we, I think, very thoughtfully and specifically invited to participate to support the dissemination of the report at some point.
Absolutely. What I can add from my side, even if I'm currently not teaching in the region, but what I can add is often students claim that case studies and materials that they read are not absolutely up to date. They're, even if they are only a couple of years old, they consider it outdated because of, technology changes and so on and so on. And I think here is our prompt answer to this one. It is something which is absolutely fresh out of the print. It reflects contemporary PR practice. So one very simple way and very practical way to work with it would be that if I had students within this area now, I would ask them, working in a group, choose one of the chapters, be it Gen Z, AI, employee branding, ESG, whichever. read through those articles and run a mini session on presenting the various viewpoints and how do they reflect on it. So absolutely, this answers one of the biggest needs, having up-to-date, contemporary, relevant, real-life material at hand. I have, well, Bence is up again, but maybe this is a legacy hand, I'm not sure. But in the meanwhile, Yuri Sondi, why don't you take the lead now?
Yes, thank you. Just yeah, I think definitely it's a very good initiative, and what I also see is a kind of not only the BA students, but also we are at Budapest Business School. We've got this after graduation, so this 1-year course where the average age is about 26 to 30 years old, who have been working and they would like to change a profession. And I think it would be very useful for them as well. Plus, we are thinking, as I also mentioned in the report, to launch a 1-year master's degree in strategic communication, partly calling it strategic communication rather than PR, as some of you have already mentioned. And I think that there is a need for this generation, at least those who would like to change careers, because I think at least what I see, I mean, I thought in the UK, in Estonia, in Poland, Italy, and several other countries, that in the region we are rushing through with education. You know, do all your studies, finish your degrees, and off you go to the market. While in the UK, Gabor may also confirm, when we've got master's students, they come in their late 20s, early 30s, even in their 40s, when they realize that they would like to do something different and they need a degree. But also, on the other hand, we do have practitioners. I mentioned this szakirányú továbbképzés. It's the Hungarian version, or poddyplomowa, something like that po polsku, nie pamiętam. But also where we've got practitioners who have been practicing for some years and they are interested in the latest trends and theories. So again, for them would be, this is a great help or great summary. And as Gabor said, it's engaging them, and we need not employer branding but industry branding. Yes. So that how to make the entire profession more attractive, because advertisers sell their industry much easier, and we've got also internal competition because we've got the marketing department, and they are thrilled by all these advertisements, but somehow I'm also struggling, especially if I've got 100+ students, to make them motivated and interested in this wonderful profession.
Also, it would be interesting to see if it's Hungary only, and it's anecdotal, obviously, but in my experience, both as an agency leader and as a former postgrad lecturer, because the talent coming into the industry is so diverse. I have seen quite a few practitioners who actually never had a degree in communications or PR, participating in postgrad programs to learn the theory behind their practice.
Absolutely, thank you. We have a comment here. I'm just reading it out from András, CTA. Read the report within 6 months before it becomes outdated. Well, that's a very good point, and it's not by chance that we made sure that the year is very dominantly marked. So it's a focus report 2024, because if and hopefully, or in whatever form, but 2025 will be a different year for sure. So it is topical now, and it is accurate now.
And András and Gabor, are you planning to do the same next year, or what is the?
We have not even formally launched this one, have we? Or on that, it's in your hands, but
yeah. Actually, but that would refer to this report becoming outdated in 2.5 months. So in January, we should already start preparing with the next one. No, I don't think this focus report is interesting to be updated in every year. Based on the experiences for both from the Future Proof report, but as well as the Africa PR report, which are just basically how African countries are implementing global trends. The update is coming out in every 2 or 3 or even 4 years. So I think the next one is due in like 2 or 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question or comment from the audience? I'm asking my esteemed colleagues and, as I said, many co-authors or authors or chapter editors, if any question or comment comes up. Well, I think this one, what Bente brought up, is very valuable. How do we make sure that this actually finds its way to universities, colleges, becomes part of the curriculum? It is definitely something which can, well, it can make study material much more interesting, or bring in some spice or something different, and definitely I think the industry itself can benefit, because if we try to build a structure where there is co-creation of content, then we might even look at what the young people think about these topics, issues, challenges, solutions, and they might add their contribution to this. All right. Well, if there are no more comments or questions, and this sounds a bit menacing, it's not menacing, but basically it means that we are wrapping this up in an hour's time, which I think reflects very well also the realities of today's world. So thank you everyone for taking part in today's discussion. Especially thank you who have been part of the collaborating team, as András said, about 70 people whose work is in your hands or on your screen if you download it. And I'm handing back the word to András, to you, if you want to close it at the end now.
No. Just I would like to thank all of you. And I think that this conversation, but not only this conversation, but also the report itself, will be valuable for the global audience as well, because most of the topics which you have discussed are like valid in every regions across the globe. And I think it's just an interesting insight for people who are not from the region, not just that we talk about among ourselves, but for everyone else, that how do we see the global trends implemented or creating challenges in our region. So I really hope that it's going to be get some global spotlight as well, and going to be an interesting insight for the global audience as well. So thanks very much, both who have attended this meeting, but also the ones who have contributed to the report.
Thank you. And finally, thank you to our panelists, Iga, Juraj, Balázs, and Radek, for sharing your thoughts with everyone around here. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.